Hello, my name's Liz Harrison and welcome to my debut on Craftsuprint TV. I've been designing for Craftsuprint now for 3 years and my favourite hobby at the moment is 3D decoupage. So I'd like to go through making a card with you, and at the moment it's one of my postbox cards. I've got them available in several cats and dogs and quite a few other animals as well. So we'll start off. First of all, I'd like to say to you, how do you hold your pair of scissors? Now, a friend of mine who's a hairdresser actually taught me how to hold scissors correctly. And if you ever notice, hairdressers have a little extra like spike on the back of their scissors, and that's because they use their third finger and their thumb for cutting. So your thumb is taking all the pressure from your cutting. I used to always get pins and needles in my finger from using my middle finger to cut, and it meant then that the finger was taking the pressure and not the thumb. It takes a bit of getting used to, so practice it, and if you just use your third finger, balance your little finger, and it applies to all scissors. Now I just automatically, whichever pair of scissors I pick up, I just use my third finger and my thumb for cutting. Okay. Right, my favourite pair of scissors are actually a little bit cushioned, so they do give your fingers a little bit more of a relax as well. Always make sure that your scissors are really sharp, and I like scissors with a nice sharp point at the end as well, just for getting into fiddly places. So I've got sharp scissors and we're ready to go. When you're actually looking at your design, always check on plan how you're going to cut out first. If you've got any large areas, cut them off from your design. Don't try cutting it out while it's still attached to the sheet, because you'll find that you'll end up with raggy edges and you'll have bits bending, and you don't want that to happen because it can crack your design, particularly if you're using photo paper. You need to also check, like on this owl design, if there are any items that you need to cut out first, like that needs to be cut out because you need the blue to show through between the gap in the owls. Then you would actually, whilst this is still on the sheet, use either a craft knife or scissors, which I'll show you in a later episode, some tips on how to do that, and cut those out first before you take them from the main image. But our design we've got today, I'm actually doing a Westie design and a pug design as well there, because you can combine all of your sheets together. I've tried to scale the dogs a little bit so that if you do buy more than one sheet, you can actually mix and match them. And don't forget the beauty of actually having a craft sheet that you can print out as many times as you want. You can have a play about, do different designs, do different layers, do it 1 layer, do it 6 layers if you want. That's the beauty of Craftsuprint. Okay, now for cutting out straight lines, you can use a guillotine, or if you've got a good pair of straight large scissors, you can do that. And one good large cut right down a straight line there will actually just make it that much easier. And try and take as little snips as possible when you're actually doing the straight line. To come round into a straight line, I'm just going to cut there, and again just cut straight down and to the middle of the scissor and hold it nice and still. And then when you come to the bottom, again this is quite a large area to cut, so when you're actually putting your blade, put your blade where you want to start and then cut down and watch where you're cutting rather than actually watching the scissors, and that gives you just that little bit better cut there. Never go right to the end of the scissor when you're cutting. Try and just use the sharpest point of your scissors, which is your middle there. Okay, so we've cut your pillar box. Now just a quick tip on cutting out the main space. What I would do, there's quite a lot of white here and that can actually stop you from getting to your design, so I'm just going to cut some of this white away. Remember, when you're cutting out, this is your design, it's not a race, so it doesn't matter how long it takes you to cut out. It's your pleasure, it's your hobby, so take as long as you like, and if you're a little bit slower or a little bit faster than anybody else, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm just going to take some of these big chunks off, so we're left with an easier design to cut out. Okay, just go around these edges. Okay, so that just makes it that little bit easier. Now when you're cutting, I like to hold loosely with one hand and my scissors in the other, or a good way if you are actually moving your paper around is put your scissors in like your fingers in like a scissor motion either side of your card, and it just gives you that little bit of leeway for movement. Okay, so I'm going to there's a little bit of snow on top of this wall on the pillar box, so I'm just doing a few zigzags on that just to make it a little bit rougher. Okay, and then come round to your corner, and I'm just holding firmly there. And then when it comes to these bits, now if you're not comfortable going around an edge that way, come back from the other direction. Always think about how you're cutting and work it out how it's going to cut best for the paper, and then by going round from that direction you can see that that's given that a nice neat edge rather than a rough edge. Okay, and then start again there and come back round, and again there's some snow on top of the pillar box, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a wiggly line. Coming round to the bottom. Now you can see this is easier to cut out now because I've taken the middle out, and you've got more of a gap for your scissors to get in, and you can actually manoeuvre your paper that little bit better. So again, moving your paper, try and hold your scissors straight and in a comfortable position for yourself, and then the big part again just snips down to the bottom, and we're going to do a wiggle. Now doing a wiggle is just literally holding your scissors straight and moving the paper in between there, and it just gives you just that little bit of a rough edge, just makes the snow look a bit more dimensional. Okay, now if you find that you can't get into that corner and you're likely to rip your paper by doing that, come back to the top and start again from the other end, and by coming down this way you'll find that you get a much better and neater corner than trying to make scissors go around corners, which they're not really designed to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to one that I've already cut out, which is my Westie. I just wanted to show you a few tips on that one there. Now, because the card I've made this from photo paper, it is a little bit, well, not as steady as I would like it to be. If you actually do them onto card, a nice GSM card, then you will find that they will stand up. But I like the glossy accent on these, so I've used mine on photo paper. Now I'm going to add an acetate wrap to it, or an acetate insert, so that when you actually stand it up, it's just got a little bit more to hold it together. The best thing to do really is to put your acetate on with silicone glue and then leave it to dry. So I'll quickly put this on now. I've already pre-prepared my acetate, but what you can do is wrap it round if you're not sure about getting your lines straight, and then pop it on, leave it to dry, and then just cut down either with a guillotine or again with your scissors once it's solidly dry and you know that you've got exactly the right size. Okay, right, so I've let the card actually dry now onto the acetate, so we'll start again with this. I've got to try and get this in 10 minutes, and I do tend to talk for far too long. So I've started cutting my Westie out already, and just again, as you're cutting round, just give him a little bit of a wiggle as you go. Again, cut each piece out separately so that you're actually not fighting with great big chunks. And just to show you how to cut the head out, we'll just go around this way. Okay, and again, just moving slightly on your scissors with the head, and it just gives that fair effect. What I've tried to do with my animals is make them easy to cut out, excuse me, but not make them too flat. You don't want an animal with a straight line, particularly dogs. I'm sure if you're a pet owner you'll find that the fair's usually stuck up somewhere. Okay, so that's my little Westie. So what I'm going to do now, I've got a mouse mat here, It's a Craftsuprint mouse mat, of course, and I just want to give a bit of dimension to my Westie. So taking your scissors, or you can get a special tool that actually you can use for decoupage on a nice spongy surface like the back of the mouse mat, just literally work from the centre to the edges of your design and work it round, and you just get a little bit of curled edge to it. Just gives you that little bit of dimension, and we'll just do the head as well. Okay, so just curling round. Okay, if you just go into the centre as well, it just adds a little bit of depth. Now, I must admit, I prefer to use silicone glue for decoupage because it's a little bit more forgiving and you can bend your design a bit better. But what you can do, if you've got foam pads and you've not got time for silicone glue to dry, you can, little tip and trick, use silicone pads, use foam pads to actually bend and give a bit more dimension. So holding with your 3 fingers, pop down with your thumb there, and as you put your foam pad on, just bend it round so it goes around the back there. I'll just show you that again for another couple, and again just pushing down with your thumb so you've just got that rounded bit, and round your foam pad round. And I think we'll just have one more on this because it's quite a big piece, and again just round it round. Okay, now if you've got smaller foam pads and using those, what you can do to get some extra dimension is put some, say, 3 or 4 mil down the centre and just 1 mil around the edge, and again that rises the centre up for you, just to give you a little bit more of a round effect. So I'm just going to pop him down over his design there. Okay, and as you can see, you get still that curve even though we've used foam pads. Okay, so just to do the head, and we can do the same thing with the little Westie head. It does work better obviously if you've got the larger foam pads. Whoops, it's alive. Right, so again, just bend it round there, and we'll put 2 on this one, and just push down with your thumb slightly, and just get that nice curve there. Okay, just pop the Westie head on, just get it near the top and make sure we're layered up there. Okay, and that's the head on. So we've just got the hat left to do. Okay, now quick tip with doing the hat, it's quite a narrow edge here, a narrow shape, so I would do it from both sides and do it in a bit at a time. So come down into the bottom part there, and then come into the crease, into the corner from the side, and just come round there, and it just then gives you that little bit better corner. Okay, and then cut from the other side as well, and come round onto the bauble there, and then we're going to go around from the bauble at this side and bring it round into the corner. It's just practice and just how to get a little bit neater edge. Obviously you'll have your own ways of doing things, but these are just some of the little tips and techniques that I've taught myself as I've gone along through hours and hours of cutting out. Okay, so that's the little hat done, and again I just want to give a bit of dimension, so just gentle push down into the mouse mat just to give it that little bit of shape, and just a foam pad. Okay, and again just as you round it, just put it down on a curve, and then we'll pop his hat onto him. Now you can put it either straight down or you can put it over one ear or the other, but I think we'll put it straight down over his eye there. Okay, so now all there is really to do is to decide which of the little slogans, Happy Christmas or whatever you want to put on the front. I've used varying different ones on my samples, and you can then add extra decoration. There is also an insert to go with this as well. I've printed one out in the colour, or if you're wanting to save a bit of ink, you can do it in grayscale as well. Just shoot for grayscale or black only on your printer, and it just means you're just printing out the grey rather than using up your coloured inks. And then you end up with a lovely card with an insert that you can write on, or you can put one of the little tags, the word tags, into the centre. And again, I've just added some extra embellishments, extra decoration there. Okay, well, I hope you've learnt something from that, and thank you for listening, and I hope you'll join me again soon.